Good evening. It is now 5 p.m. and welcome to the July 7th, 2025 Public Safety Committee and Committee of the Whole meeting. I am Rob Watton, Chair. Today's meeting is being recorded and will be available on the city's website. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin with the roll call. We have online Councilmember Christensen. Glad you could join us. And in the council chambers, we have Council Member Kat Cotton, as well as myself, Clerk Dina Dean, Mayor Ross, City Administrator Mike Chambliss, and City Attorney Dina Burke. Good evening. With that, we'll move on to the agenda approval. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
It's been moved. Councilmember Christensen.
Second.
All right. Any changes to the agenda? Councilmember Christensen? None? Okay. So with that, we will proceed with the agenda as presented. Thank you very much. We move on to public comments, and this is a period of time. Those that come in person have an opportunity to address this committee. And seeing that there's no one other than staff and the two council members and the mayor present, I will close public comments. Those listening online, though, you can always send your comments in to the clerk or to myself or to any of the members of the committee, and we'll make sure that those get addressed. With that, move on to minutes. The approval of minutes dated June 16th, 2025. Council members, are there any additions, corrections to the minutes?
None from me.
Councilmember Christensen,
None for me.
okay, very well. And if there's no disagreement, the chair will accept the minutes as presented. Hearing none, they are approved. And now we're moving on to discussion. We'll start off with Lieutenant Weiss. Good evening, sir. I am doing great. Did you have a good weekend?
I had a wonderful weekend. Worked a 15-hour shift on 4th of July, but no issues. It was good.
I saw you.
Long day.
You were wide awake.
I made it through.
Turned
So
out well.
good evening. So Chief is on vacation, so he kind of asked me to fill in, and we've kind of split duties. I'm dealing with a lot of the speeding complaints and stuff, and he's dealing with the e-bike stuff. So I just kind of had Melinda ran some stats for us since May. One of the things I want to hit on real quick was Meadowbrook and Park Street. I worked the big truck show that was at the end of June and had a couple of the people that live on Park Street came up to me because they knew I was working on the school zone stuff there and thanked us. They said turning the lights on all day long was huge. It really slowed the traffic down. And then we've been out there quite a bit more and stuff, and they've noticed that. So they thanked me for that and said that was a big thing for them. The other thing that we were dealing with is we've been getting a bunch of complaints on Fairway Avenue, email complaints and stuff. So I kind of, when we were a little bit slower, I assigned 4 of the guys to kind of split it. A couple of them took Fairway, a couple of them took Douglas, to the point where we actually had a citizen pull up to them and ask them to leave and ask us to go back to the Parkway because we were spending too much time on the side streets. That's what he's told them. So we hit it a little harder after that.
You can't make everybody happy.
I know, that make everybody happy. So just kind of some stats I had ran as of May 1st. So we had 286 traffic stops total for just Snoqualmie. 158 of the stops were focused up on the ridge. 66 of the traffic stops were focused downtown. And the big places I've had them hitting is Park Street, Meadowbrook, Railroad Avenue has been also another one we're getting a lot of complaints on. So just to kind of tell you where we were at, Parkway, 158 stops, Railroad Avenue, 66 traffic stops. We're getting a lot of complaints of the traffic coming into downtown. They reduced it to 25 and people are doing way over that. So we did some focus down there. Same thing with Meadowbrook, 19 traffic stops just on Meadowbrook. We're working out kind of by the golf course, kind of trying to work both directions of Park Street, just kind of seeing where the speeding issues are. And then Fairway, 11 traffic stops. Center Street, 4 traffic stops. Fisher, 11 traffic stops. Almond, 26 traffic stops. Trying to hit a lot of these side streets. But a lot of education going on right now. I didn't give them any. I told them it was totally onto them if they wanted to cite or give education. A lot of it's education stuff. But I can tell you I'm still working a lot of patrol stuff, and I've worked Meadowbrook quite a bit, and we're getting some pretty high speeds on Meadowbrook. When I say high, I'm talking 50 and over going up and down Meadowbrook. So that's obviously an issue we need to try to address further there. The people asked me that lived on Park Street if we could turn the lights on all the time. And I was talking to the chief about that today. I thought it was a good idea, but the chief kind of is like, if we have it flashing all the time, then it's going to be the norm. People aren't going to start paying attention to it. So I think we need to just keep it focused on schools in session. And it really did help.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Did the Park Street residents comment that after school was done and the lights came off?
Pardon me. Speaking.
And were they noticing that the speeds were still staying down?
They're back up because the lights are off. Like they asked, like I said, they said if they had a ask or a wish, if we could have the lights on all the time. And I went right back and I talked to Gary about that today because that was a comment, it was a week or so ago. And again, he's like, if we turn them on all the time, and he had a couple of school districts down where he lives and people just don't pay attention to it. So he's kind of the theory we should just do it when school's in session.
Yeah. And with 202, do you have problems with, I mean, I know it's in the city limits, but since it is technically a state route, is there any jurisdictional problems with doing traffic?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The only issue we have there is we used to have control of the lights there, then DOT took them over. So I have no control when those things go on and off. That's whatever the state's setting them at. I wish I did, because it'd be nice to kind of coordinate with.
Right.
Because it's like what I did on Park Street. I just had the signs on Meadowbrook say 7 to 4. So I had them flashing on Park Street from 7 to 4. I was just trying to get some consistency around the schools.
Yeah. It's interesting because one of our council members, who shall remain nameless, got pulled over on Meadowbrook and cited by a King County sheriff's officer.
Oh, yeah, could be.
So I was just like,
Rare.
I'm asking about jurisdiction, like who can do what?
I mean, county can write anywhere in the county, state can write anywhere in the
Okay.
state, and we can write in either city. We can write out in the county too. It just goes to district court, and it's just, at the end of the day, it doesn't help us any, so. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Councilmember Christensen, I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to jump in here.
No, the only thing I'd add is just I appreciate how diligent the police are being. I think that it's really helpful, and I appreciate seeing how responsive they've been throughout the whole situation. So
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just add, it helps to demonstrate that when citizens come forward with their concerns, the city listens. And that's where the magic happens. The rest of us, I mean, it's just kind of commonplace, and it's easy for us not to, make it one of our priorities. But when people come forward and through public comment and it gets addressed right away. And, that's one thing that I've always enjoyed about this city in particular is when we have an issue and it's brought to us and we pass it along to the departments, it gets done. And that's the beauty of local government. So
It was all done within a few days because I got parks out there cutting all the trees back, and within a couple of days, everything was
Really?
where it needed to be. So
yeah,
Terrific. Amazing.
fabulous.
Good job.
Thank you much.
Thanks.
All right. That we move on to the other part of public safety, fire department. Chief Bailey, you have an update on 4th of July.
Good evening. Yeah, as I've done in the past, I have a written report about it, but obviously since it just happened on Friday, I didn't have the ability to include it in the packet, but with your permission, I can give the written report to Clerk Dean, and she can put it in the regular council packet still this week if you'd like. So I just wanted to go over kind of what happened leading up to the 4th, and then what our activity was for the 4th of July. So prior to the 4th, there was no firework related calls within the city. We did have our 2 fireworks stands open up like we talked about. Didn't have any issues with them. They were placed in the appropriate place. The crews did inspections on them every day. No major issues were found other than the typical, we have to sometimes remind them about cardboard storage and some things like that, but nothing that wasn't corrected right away. And then as you can see, they were cleaned out as they're supposed to on the 5th, and the stands were picked up this morning. Both stands were picked up this morning, so they complied with all the regulations. So we had no issues with the group that was in with the fireworks, that were selling the fireworks in the city. Staffing levels for the 4th of July, we were able to have 5 career staff on duty. It just so happened to be a day that we had 5 on. And then we had 8 volunteers that were in and out throughout the day. And then myself, I was here in the city from about 8 until midnight, 8 in the morning until midnight, just making sure everything went okay and provide some extra support for the crews. So because of that, we were able to make the engine, and both the engine and the 8 car were available with 3 personnel, all 24 hours. So we had both rigs staffed and available to respond to calls. So that was a really great thing to have, so that we didn't get bogged down with 1 or 2. As for the 4th of July specifically, we had no fireworks related calls that have been reported both on the 4th and up to date. There was an initial report of somebody being injured by some falling cardboard at the fireworks show, but they were gone by the time we got there, and the police that talked to them said that it was really a non-injury. It wasn't actually, I didn't necessarily count that as a call. The crew did go down today. They went down to Fall City for a brush fire down in Fall City. They were there for a couple hours helping out, but that was outside the city. So we didn't have any fireworks related calls here in the city. Non-fireworks related, it was a busy day just in general. They went on 3 fire alarms in the city, which were all at businesses, which were malfunctions. 4 aid calls within the city, no transports were required. And then they had 2 mutual aid calls outside the city with no transport. Area patrols. So the fire department staff patrolled the neighborhoods during the evening after the fireworks show, when we were freed up from the fireworks show, and found residents complying with the ban. I was out there for 2 hours. I didn't observe any illegal fireworks. Usually you can see it in the sky. Sometimes it's a little hard to track down, but I didn't even see any to go look for. So I was just kind of patrolling around the area. We did receive 1 complaint by email the morning of the 4th regarding illegal fireworks that had been a problem in the past. So I notified the police about it. They made some specialized patrols in that area, talked to the resident to make sure that everything was legal. I drove by when I had a chance after the fireworks show and didn't observe any illegal fireworks going off. Talked to the resident again, so I was pretty confident that they were following the rules as we had put out. So we didn't view any illegal fireworks when we were there, or I didn't view any that were in the area or on the ground. Public relations events. So the crews participated in the ROA Kids Parade. We were able to put 1 engine, 1 aid car in the antique fire engine, as well as my pickup in the parade. And then after the parade, as like we've done in years past, the crews parked there at the block party, the community party at Community Park, and hung out for a couple hours. Usually pretty popular, kids crawling all over the engines and talking to residents. So that was a really good day. Had a good time doing that. And then for the Red, White, and Boom celebration, I met with the pyrotechnic crew before the show just to go over the plan, make sure everything was okay. They had everything they need. There was initially some issues with not enough barriers were put up, but once the Church on the Ridge volunteers showed up, they moved them to the appropriate place. So that was taken care of quickly, where they'd been in the past. We walked through the crowd before the event, talking with people, handing out glow sticks like we do in the past, along with the PD. I think between the 2 of us, we handed out 3,000 of the glow necklaces between the 2 departments. So that's always a big crowd pleaser for those that are there. And then after the show, the firefighters again walked the area, just the paths around the fireworks show, just to make sure there's no burning material and it was safe for residents to return home by the path. So we did that after the show. During the show, it was observed that some lit material landed in the crowd of the lower field. Some of the cardboard that usually falls, there was some that was on fire that fell in the area. as well as there was one shell that, one or a couple shells that were too low that kind of bounced into the crowd off to the side that were definitely concerning. I walked over there right as it happened and made sure that nobody was injured. Nobody came up to me. I didn't see anybody in the crowd that was injured. I didn't get any reports of anybody injured after the fact. But it is something that we're definitely going to want to address for next year. I think we need to look again at moving it. You know, we've moved that fence a couple different times, and I think we need to look again, moving it back further and providing some additional safety. You know, if we want to keep having it in the same location, I think there's some other safety steps that we probably should take just to make sure that we're covering all our bases and providing a safe environment for that show. But everything I heard while I was there, a lot of great comments from the neighborhood, from the citizens that were there talking about how a great event it was, and it's really grown quite a bit over the years. So I think we just need to take a few extra steps just to do what we can to make it just a little bit safer. So we'll work on that before next year's show. So that's kind of a rundown of what we did. If there's any questions.
Yeah. Councilmember Cotton.
Was there any speculation on head count this year?
I did not hear. I believe that last year they had a drone up and they did kind of a square counting. I don't know if they did that this year or not. It seemed like, to me, it seemed like it was the same, if not bigger than last year. And I believe that was, I don't want to even speculate. I thought it was a couple thousand that they came up with. You know, as all the years that we've had it, it used to be just down below and then it migrated up above to a little bit. And now the up above and the below is packed. Shoulder to shoulder. It used to be you could walk freely amongst the blankets and stuff on the ground. This time it was pretty hard. They had some aisleways through there that you could walk through that were on the ground, kind of designated, but even then you were pretty hard pressed to move around in the crowd. So just based on that, it seemed like it was, if not the same, larger than it has been in the past. I know there were some other shows typically that have been around that have canceled. So we're one of the few, not only close, but even just in the King County area that's still doing a show. So we probably pick up some people from that. Plus weather is always, the nicer the day, the more people we usually get.
Mayor.
So were there also people at Jeannie Hansen Park? I'm curious how many would have attended if they were up there.
I didn't have anybody up there. I've heard that people go up there and a lot of people watch it from there. I know some of the city staff that live up there usually watch from there, so we can maybe ask them later, but I haven't heard any reports as to how many people were up there, but I have heard that quite a bit are watching them from the neighborhoods. I did notice a lot more people on the hillside behind the fireworks, in between the fireworks, the hill where we set off the fireworks and the houses. I noticed a lot more people kind of in the woods up against the fences on those houses and chairs than we have in the past. Probably not from those houses because they all had like lawn chairs. So I think that's a kind of an area that's grown. So we just need to maybe look for some other areas, hopefully, that we can maybe open up and encourage people to go to instead of encroaching on the drop zone, if you will.
Before Councilmember Cotton, Councilmember Christensen, do you have anything, any comments or questions?
Not offhand, just thanks again for keeping everybody safe.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Cotton.
So I mean, I know both police and fire were patrolling and after the event in the neighborhoods and such. And did you end up having to write any citations for illegal fireworks at all, or? Okay, great. That's good.
My only question is more of a curiosity. Wind speeds, does that have any concern as far as their direction on
It
the
does.
fallout?
When
I guess?
we talk to them when I talk to them usually in the afternoon, we usually go over the weather report and talk about it. There has been years where it's been drier. We've had them cut back a little bit on the show. This time I talked to the person that was in charge of the pyrotechnics after the show, and we talked a little bit about some of the my safety concerns, and he said that, you know, obviously he had the same concerns, and he said he was a little disappointed some of the shells that were manufactured that were given to him didn't act the way that they were supposed to, as in they didn't go high enough, which obviously is out of his control, but that just, to me, that just leads more you know, credence to that we really need to maybe increase our safety factor a little bit, because there are some things that we can't control. So maybe we need to do a little bit better on to do the things we can. But we have had those conversations in the past about high winds, when he sets up that morning, he can change the angle. And he even talked about maybe trying to move some more things more toward the middle of the hill or something like that if we need to. But yeah, the weather is definitely something that's part of the meeting I have with them in the early afternoon before they start setting up. We take some of that stuff into account.
Okay, awesome. Well, it was a great event. I was there for most of it. So, as many were here. So anything else? Okay, thank you much,
Thank you.
Chief Bailey. With that, we are down to the end of our agenda. Are there any items of discussion that council members want to bring up for future meetings? Okay. Not hearing Mayor, is there anything on your mind?
No, I think we are doing e-bikes. Is it
We're
later
doing
this month?
E-bikes the next meeting.
Right. Okay.
Yes, yes, and we're making progress. I do have to say that I'm impressed with the press releases and the public information. I think a lot of it has to do with just educating parents and also kids. I did have a couple come up to me and kind of joke about that we should allow 14 and 15-year-olds to be on e-motorcycles as a great way of training them to drive. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, go talk to your parents about that. So with that, I also appreciate whenever we have citizens coming forward and raising concerns that, this is a forum for us to address those. And today is another demonstration of positive outcomes from those comments. So with that, without other things to come before us, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Cotton, seconded by Councilmember Christensen. Yeah, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. And we stand adjourned at 5:22 p.m.